So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman, and I'm part of the team at the Lyme Disease Association of Australia. And of the last few years, I think many of you will be familiar that we're really on a pathway to look for legitimate pathways forward from a perspective of healing and recovery for Australian Lyme patients. The situation here is dire, and I was just explaining to our guest speaker today, Chris, that it's at least a year's waiting list with all of our doctors who have tick-borne disease experience. And many of those are deregistered and limited from treating. And then we have a range of naturopathic pathways. So we're here to provide as many solutions as possible while we continue to progress health policy and work with the regulatory bodies in the government and getting our own data. So if you're watching this in the early 2026, we've just launched our patient survey. So I invite you to take a look at our website and partake in that so we can assist in gathering legitimate and scientifically analyzed tick-borne disease patient data. So on with today's topic, and I'm really excited about this because I'm a bit of a fan of homeopathy. So Chris that we're speaking with today is a recovered Lyme patient. So I'll just give you a little bit about his background. Chris Wick is a natural health practitioner and Lyme disease survivor whose personal healing journey led him to develop a unique homeopathic protocol for Lyme recovery. After nearly losing his life to Lyme disease in 2009 and being told there was no cure, Chris began searching for answers beyond conventional management approaches. Drawing on his background in natural health, he discovered homeopathy and used principles from the homeopathic treatment of Lyme disease to achieve full recovery within weeks, a result later confirmed through testing. Since then, Chris has dedicated over 15 years to helping others overcome Lyme disease using homeopathic methods, nearly 200 reported full recoveries in that time. He continues to advocate for broader awareness and clinical exploration of homeopathy's potential in Lyme disease treatment, emphasizing accessible, non-invasive, and effective healing approaches. So, Chris, I'm so grateful that we cross paths because I am legitimately a fan of homeopathy. I find it a bit beyond my brain function and capacity, but here we are. I'm going to learn something from you today. So why don't we start from the beginning? And what was your journey like getting sick with Lyme? And then, I can imagine there was a struggle to find recovery. Was there for you?
Well, I think my journey started with a tick attached to me in about 2000, year 2000. Um, I didn't really, my immune system seemed to done an effective battle against the getting sick for about 10 years. I had something going on, but it was subtle. It was not debilitating. So I guess my immune system was keeping Lyme at bay until about 2009. And in 2009, I just became dreadfully ill. I mean, down and out, sicker than a dog, without explanation, mystery illness. I went to a naturopathic clinic, and the first naturopath that I spoke to or checked in with or did a session with assumed that I had mono.
Mm.
And it was a good guess because the symptoms, I had a lot of fatigue and a lot of the symptoms were overlapping. So he put me on a protocol for Epstein-Barr. 2 months on the protocol with steady downward decline in my health. My wife encouraged me to change to the other naturopath in the same clinic, and I made an appointment, and there was about a 3-week lag to get in to see him. I was sitting in my living room, and an intuitive voice came through, and just as clearly as I'm talking to you, and said, "Chris, get up, go to your computer, and type in the symptoms of Lyme disease," which I did. And one of the first websites I came across listed 38 symptoms of Lyme, and I had all 38. And I printed the page, and then there was 2 that they didn't show on the page, so I wrote those in. And I took that page with me on my first visit with the second naturopath. So he looked at the page, and he had heard from his other naturopath, that Chris and I were very avid outdoor people and backpackers and river rafters, and and yes, bit by ticks. And so he said, well, let's start your labs around that. And sure enough, that's what the test results came back with, that I had Lyme disease. So he goes, okay, follow me to my pill room. And he grabbed a big cardboard moving box and started throwing things in there. And it was probably about $3,000 in just a few minutes that he lobbed into this box. And then he went and he wrote out a schedule, protocol schedule for take all these things. And it was 3 meals a day, all you can eat to get this protocol down. But I said, you know what? I'm so desperate to get my life back that I will do this. If this will work, I'll do it. So I launched into the protocol. I adhered to it. 2 months, time went by, and my next visit with the naturopath was 2 months out. I kept going downhill the whole time. I'm taking tons of things that are all, I mean, yeah, I could name off the whole list, but I won't do that because it's a long one. Of all the things people take for Lyme, I did all, and I kept going downhill. So I had my follow-up with him, and I was frustrated by that fact. And he got frustrated with my frustration, and he goes, Chris, I'm going to be honest with you. And I go, that sounds great. And he goes, I can't get you over Lyme disease. I go, okay. He said, the best that you can hope for in your life is to manage it. So I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, remember that box of stuff I sent you out with? Every 6 to 9 months, you're going to have to do that whole thing again. And we're going to have to introduce oral antibiotics. Then we're going to have to go to IV antibiotics and more boxes of stuff. And we'll get your immune system to recover from time to time somewhat to buy you a little time of feeling somewhat healthy, I guess. And then your immune system will crash and rinse and repeat. And that's your life. Well, I just couldn't accept that. So I went home, I fired him. And I went home and I'm a research oriented person. And I went into the World Wide Web and I scoured the World Wide Web for a cure for Lyme disease. Everything under the sun. And when I looked at the list of everything available, I realized I had done most of them, but there was one I hadn't done, the infamous salt sea cure. Have you heard of that one?
Hmm.
Okay, I did it.
So
Four
did
or
I
five
actually. So did I.
tablespoons of salt and, ascorbic acid, mega
Mhm.
doses of that. I even tried that in desperation, right? And after trying all that stuff I realized that I was coming to the realization that maybe a life sentence of Lyme disease was probably maybe true. I was really depressed about it, I got to tell you. Well, I was sitting in my chair in my living room again, and another intuitive message came across the screen and said, Chris, get up, go to your computer, and type in the homeopathic treatment of Lyme disease. And in 2000, I started a degree program in natural health. And one of my electives was homeopathy. And nothing has grabbed my interest quite as hard as that topic. My interest level is very deep. And whenever I get hold of something like that I'm very interested in, I deep dive. I go all in. So I was very interested in homeopathy, and then this message came across, and I went to my computer dutifully and I typed in exactly what the voice told me to do, and up popped came a website by exactly that title, that name. And the website was offering a book for sale, and I bought it. It's not a self-help guide. This is the book right here. You can see that.
Yeah.
Can you see that okay?
Yep. Yep. It's homeopathic
So
treatment of
this
Lyme
is not a
disease.
self-help guide.
Mm.
But what it is, it's a theory of homeopathy, kind of basically introduction to how it works and why it works. But the most valuable part of this book to me was the latter half of it. And the latter half of this contains 20 patient records of basically the chronology of them is as follows. Patient gets sick. Now, this was written in Germany, in German at first and then translated. So the context is Germany, right? So German citizen gets sick, goes to German doctor, gets diagnosed. Uh, Lyme disease is the diagnosis. The German doctor prescribes homeopathy, a series of usually three different homeopathic medicines. A few weeks go by, patient comes back, their Lyme disease is resolved. Every year for the next 5 years, there's an annual visit to make sure that there is no relapse. Never was in any of those 20 patients. And imagine my excitement because it was like getting a file in the cake in prison, right? You know? So I was already very somewhat familiar with homeopathy, a novice, I'll admit. I was a kind of a raw novice at the time, but I went to work on myself. And literally it took me, I think, four or five different medicines, and it was cleared. And I had completely had all my health back and my life back, and it was done. And then from that time forward, I just kept meeting other people with Lyme disease, and the people I met were kind of interesting. They all shared a common thread, I would say. They were usually at the end of the line. They were out of hope. They were basically out of money,
Mm.
and they haven't been able to work. They're basically more or less invalid. And those are the people that ended up, I just kind of kept bouncing, running into. And I would give them the homeopathic treatment, work with them, and they would snap out of it, get their lives back, and they would tell someone else. And then I would go help that person. And it was, kind of word of mouth. And then in Oregon, there was three medical clinics that were referring all of their Lyme patients to me. They were not alternative, but integrative type medical clinics or naturopaths that hadn't taken on the Lyme challenge yet, hadn't decided to enter the murky world of Lyme disease. So they just sent them over to me, and I was very busy for a long time until I moved. So then from the beginning days, which is, like you said, 16 years ago, what I did is I kept trying different formulations, becoming more knowledgeable in homeopathy. And where that has led is where I am today. And I've developed a protocol, and it's a combination of four different compounds. Two of them are combination remedies, combination medicines. So one of them probably has 30 different compounds in it. All 30 of those compounds homeopathically have proven effective at um, killing Lyme and its co-infections. So that's one formulation. Then I've got another one that is made from desiccated, infected Lyme ticks that are ground up and then gone through a dilution, energizing process, um, diluted out to, 1,000 times. And so anyway, those four products I found, each one of them have been known to actually treat Lyme disease effectively. But I found that taking all four of those and putting them together, it's unbelievable. Um, I haven't had it fail me yet. Now, once I get through treating, helping someone with get over resolve Lyme disease, sometimes that's it. Sometimes that's the end of the line.
Mm.
But for a lot of people, they've Epstein-Barr is usually an issue. That's one I really look for because Lyme has such an effect, the ability to suppress your immune system, that some of the normally dormant viruses that, herpes zoster, Epstein-Barr, those things kind of tend to come out of dormancy and repopulate. So very often I'll have to circle back around after Lyme disease
Yeah.
is resolved and put those back in the cage.
Yeah.
The protocol that I developed takes 7 days. And then so in the instructions that I send with the Lyme removal protocol, I explain to people that the first 2 days you won't notice anything most likely. Day three, you're going to notice. And what people experience is a healing reaction or a healing aggravation.
Mm.
And so it presents itself as kind of achy breaky, flu-like symptoms, some fatigue. You can tell something's going on. So what you're experiencing is homeopathy is providing the instruction similar to a vaccine, right? Educating your immune system. When you
Mm.
see these, kill them. And it's also providing a level of support to your immune system to actually accomplish getting that done. Then once they've completed the 7 days, they're done with Lyme. But what I do is have people once a week after that for a month, just do one dose of each of those four compounds as a kind of like a booster.
Yeah.
You're taking a vaccine and do a booster, it's similar, same thing.
Less harmful.
And then usually days 3 through 5, people feel a little bit off, and then 6 through 7, I end up getting very often what I refer to as an oh my God call.
Mm.
And people are just so, for example, the gal in that meeting that the one person that said, I'd like your help, she called me after going through the sequence. She called me and it was an oh my God call. And she said, she was breathless with excitement, just hysterical. And she goes, I have a friend that lives half a mile away from me. And before doing this treatment, I could not have walked to her house.
Mm.
I just ran there. So,
That's gratifying. I can
so
feel.
the there's some reasons well, there's one main big reason I think that two big reasons I think that homeopathy is especially suited to Lyme disease. Lyme disease is not I think it's an out of the box disease,
Yeah.
lab grown, right? And I
Yeah, I
think it's
agree.
going to take an out of the box treatment.
Mm.
One of the challenges that people have, like you go to your doctor and they put you on doxycycline for 30 days and you know some of these other treatments, is that number one, the main treatment for LLMDs, especially in this country, is antibiotics.
Yeah.
And if they will continue to prescribe antibiotics and put them into someone's system almost to the point of like a chemotherapy drug. Well, half of the co-infections of Lyme disease are not bacterial.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I had was Babesia, which is a blood parasite, very, very similar to malaria. So an antibiotic has zero impact on that. And then one of the other reasons homeopathy is well suited to Lyme is that there are some impediments to normal Western medical treatment of Lyme, such as biofilms, cystic formations, blood-brain barrier, lack of blood supply, like cartilage, right? there's so many places in your body that Lyme can hide out and weather an antibiotic storm.
Mm.
They've actually found breeding pairs of Lyme in the dentin tubes of people's teeth.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've seen
so
that. Yeah.
they're super evasive. They somehow can shut your immune system off. And I know in my case, one of the blood tests I did was a CD57, and it's a measure of your immune system. And so mine was 35. A normal CD57 is like 160 to 200. So it had basically just taken my immune system and disabled it.
Mm.
But all of those things, all the different impediments to getting Western medical treatment to Lyme, carrying it to them, doesn't exist with homeopathy. It's an energetic medicine. I think the world has accepted the fact that everything is energy and we're energetic ourselves. So why wouldn't an energetic medicine be appropriate, right?
I listen, you know, I represent a team that's, has very diverse and our audience will be very diverse. And there's never been a more important time in the world when we have to really respect differences of opinions. But my personal
Hmm.
opinion, being a retired ICU nurse and then having on reflection, I realized I was sick since birth. And I actually now, on reflection, wonder if I have congenital Lyme because of all the picture that happened up before that, right? But nobody would know that. Nobody would have introduced that to me. I learned it through being bit and then chronically sick and then educating myself with people and practitioners like yourself. And I think it's really, really important to hear diverse opinions. So I personally am a huge fan of vibrational medicine. And it's
Hmm.
okay if you're listening today and say that's hogwash. It's absolutely okay because this is an invitation to listen and learn and see what resonates for you. Right now in Australia, we do not have a ready-made treatment pathway for you. So we're bringing in experts like Chris to give you options and non-toxic options and safe options for you. If nobody's trying to shove this down your throat, or our beliefs. So I would like to put my hand up that my belief that this pathogen has been weaponized, and a lot of my beliefs are not aligned in our whole board, and we respect that in each other, and we respect that in you who are listening today. But so Chris, I agree. I've seen those markers, and one thing about being an ICU nurse is you come very good at pattern recognition, and you need to looking in advance. You see patterns, and there. If we need Western medicine, if we need modern medicine, it's in emergency and ICU, right? In those emergency, the horse is bolted. We got to do something urgent right now. Like we're not going to running at a car accident with a bit of homeopathy. Well, maybe a little bit alongside emergency medicine. But I think it's so important for those of us today who've experienced chronic Lyme or are experiencing chronic Lyme, we need to be embracing alternatives. And I think vibrational medicine is a part of that. And I'm very delighted to have you here speaking to on behalf of Australians who are sick with tick-borne diseases.
One of the other things I would like to mention too, a couple other things. I would have to say that I cannot believe at this juncture where we find ourselves today that the Lyme, let's say the bacterial part of it, is not drug resistant, antibiotic resistant. I mean, because you couldn't ask for a more antibiotic abusive environment in the Lyme community.
No,
No fault of their own,
no, no.
but I met one of the nurses that ran that Southern Oregon Lyme disease support group. When I met her 7, 10 years ago, something like that, she had been on oral antibiotics for 13 years straight.
Mm,
Now you can't. And the only way she could continue to function is to take them. So she was creating this, resistant organism. So that's another benefit to homeopathy. There's no resistance um, to, it's not going to develop a drug resistance.
mm.
But I think the big flashing neon attraction for homeopathy, especially for your country, is the affordability.
Mm.
I talked to your counterpart, Marie, and I figured out that I could, including airfare, I could get Lyme removal kits shipped down to Australia for 250 bucks a piece.
That's US dollars, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's about 400 for those listening today, approximately.
So it's
Less
compared
than
to
most
this.
doctor's appointments right now.
Yeah. And one of the people I helped get over Lyme, who was an invalid for about 10 years before we got together, he spent $250,000. His
Yeah,
father-in-law left him a medical trust fund, and of 250,000. He spent all of it.
yeah,
And he went to Stanford Clinic. He went to the Mayo Clinic. He went the big name clinics, and he went to all the specialty Lyme clinics in the country and tried everything under the sun, that you can
yeah,
think of.
yeah.
And
Well,
well,
and all very experienced doctors, probably a majority, 95% of them would there be nothing wrong with their medical knowledge or care. But again, as a former very dedicated Western medicine practitioner, as a critical care specialist nurse, I didn't know what I didn't know then. And again, I think we're going into a future of healthcare where the appropriate use of modern medicine is in trauma care or emergency medicine, and the rest, chronic medicine or medical care, needs to look elsewhere.
health,
Look, yeah,
healthcare,
healthcare. Yes, right.
right?
We need to
Is that,
switch that. Yeah, that's a very good, very perfect. Yeah. So
well,
go ahead.
is there any question, I mean,
Well,
what I was hoping to do with Marie, Sharon,
yeah,
is get a box full of Lyme removal kits shipped
yeah,
down there.
yeah,
Um, do a pilot project. Here,
yeah,
here's the protocol. Get it to whoever people you designate would be best to get it. Do a pilot project, test project, and get the results and demonstrate that, hey, this could be a way out. Um, I know here the LLND that I went to when I was sick, his so to do his diagnostics and lab work was $5,000
yeah,
USD, and then the Lyme treatment package after that's 25,000. Um, and I think that's kind of the down payment. That's where it starts,
yeah.
and then
No,
you just have to keep
and
going.
that will be very common here as well for people who've been in the Lyme community for any length of time. I know I've spent tens of thousands, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but and I lost my income very quickly and subsequent complete financial collapse, right? Lost our home. It's, and I think in the people that I've supported, so I've been with this charity now for since 2009, behind the scenes and frontline since 2013. um, One of the biggest traumas, besides all the medical stuff that we've talked about, is the loss of finances. Like their lives get decimated, relationships, everything, standard
Yeah,
of living, safe living, everything gets decimated. And at the very foundation, if we could assist in people having a healthy, safe pathway for improvement and in your experience, full recovery, um, there's nothing to lose really for giving it a go or giving evaluation. So, Chris, we'll provide. I'm not sure a pilot. We definitely can help assist with volunteer support to minimize postage for patients in Australia. We do that with blood testing kits, so that we provide the volunteer care to ensure people get access to that. I can put it to our board that we do this for this. So if you're listening to this and you'd be interested in looking at a trial protocol of Chris's homeopathic regime, get back and ask for Sharon at the Lyme Disease Association. So, Chris, we'll look at our legalities with that because it's a bit of a difficult situation being an incorporated association. But we also are here
my
to serve patients.
my
And
you know
go
what
ahead.
I'd love to see happen? I'd love to you can practice homeopathy in Australia, right?
Yes, yes,
Can
there's
you?
yes. Yeah.
Okay. What I would love to see happen, I don't know how, but I would love to work with homeopaths down there, get them, I have a cookbook that I put together of everything. I can hand this to you and you could administer my protocol,
Mm.
order it, source it, administer it, everything. So what I would love to do is get this in the hands of homeopaths down there, have them be effective, treatment places to go for people. And the second thing I would love to see is find somebody that's a movie star, a somebody that's really famous down there that's really sick with Lyme disease, and we fix them. And they get
That
out there
does,
and
I mean, sounds
they tell
mercenary,
their
but it
story.
does work. It is,
Yeah,
it is a well-known support for those of us are the invisible. When somebody who is affected and has a public reach,
yeah, Bush
and the
Barbie.
courage, and they could, yeah, well, and the courage to expose their personal situation, it does have secondary gain for us invisible
Mhm.
people in the bleachers, so to speak. So Chris, we could talk about those things, and I'm sure anybody listening today, if you have recommendations for either of those, either homeopath who thinks are open to taking a look at Chris's work, and also any famous people that you know that have tick-borne
Yeah,
disease that could impact our voice. So we're really looking to expand our voice on behalf of people that are injured in Australia with tick-borne diseases, and so we have research. We need to get data on the page, but probably our number one goal and wish of all of us in our hearts is to eliminate the suffering. And Chris, I'm very grateful. So, what's in your heart today to leave people who are suffering from tick-borne diseases chronically in Australia right now?
I would say this: don't give up hope.
Mm.
Um, there is a way out. I was in a Turkish prison called Lyme disease once upon a time, and found my way out. And I've helped a lot of other people. And I would love to share this with the world because
Mm.
I think the world needs this. I think looking at all the treatments I've seen, read about, tried,
Yeah,
the world needs something different that doesn't hurt, doesn't give you terminal
doesn't
yeast
harm.
infection or
Yeah.
mold, and something that's affordable.
Mm. Chris, thank you for having the courage and the persistence to reach out to us. I know we've been quite busy and it's been a bit of a delay in connecting, but I'm very grateful to have spent this time with you today and to be able to offer this message and pathway, potential pathway for those it resonates with for Australian patients affected by tick-borne diseases. Thank you.
I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience. Thank you. Nice to
Thank you,
meet you,
Chris.
Sharon.
Yeah, likewise.
I,
I'm sure we'll have a few more conversations. I have no doubt.
I'd love that. The more the merrier. Let's get this.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a good night.